I wanted to make a very important statement in relation to what we've seen in Melbourne overnight. It's absolutely abhorrent to see any place of worship attacked. I want to pretend that this wasn't expected or that it couldn't be predicted, but I can't do that to the Australian people. We have seen the rise of anti-Semitism in our community since October 7 of last year in an unprecedented way. Everybody knew that anti-Semitism, that hatred and that vilification, that racism was lurking beneath the surface. But what we've seen on our university campuses, what we've seen online, what we've seen against people of Jewish faith in the community has been completely and utterly unacceptable, and it should be totally condemned in our country. And to see the firebombing of a synagogue, a place of worship, is something that is not welcome and has no place in our country whatsoever. And today we should double down on our support of the Jewish community who will be feeling this very acutely. There are armed guards who are protecting kids at Jewish schools this very day, and that is unacceptable in our country. There is a lot of work and a lot of leadership that needs to be provided to make sure that people of Jewish faith and people right across the country can be given assurances around safety, basic safety requirements when people go to a synagogue or they go to another place of worship, when they go to school, when they go to a supermarket. They should do so safely in our country, and that has been a very, very sad, shocking turn of events in Melbourne overnight.
Is Australia still a key ally of Israel following this week's vote in the UN?
We are an essential ally of Israel. As Defence Minister, I was provided intelligence from Israel which saved the lives of Australian Defence Force personnel. We've averted terrorist attacks on our own people because of our close partnership with Israel. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and they are a key partner to us, and the Jewish migration story to our country has been an incredibly successful one, and one of which we should be incredibly proud. And I will always stand up for people of Jewish faith because they should be treated equally with every other Australian, and the way in which they've been ostracised in our country and the way in which that's been condoned, frankly, by the Prime Minister and others just has no place in our society.
Do you believe that Australia's changing position at the UN will invite more terrorism as suggested by the Israeli Prime Minister's office?
I think the Prime Minister, frankly, needs to give a very detailed explanation of the government's stances in relation to Israel. It's a complete departure from the promise that the Prime Minister made to the Australian Jewish community before the last election. He said that he would adopt a bipartisan position, as has been the case for his predecessors. It's impossible to imagine that Bob Hawke or Paul Keating or even Kevin Rudd or Julia Gillard would have taken the path that Prime Minister Albanese has. I think it's left our country less safe. I think it's created an air of uncertainty, and frankly, a lot of people in the Jewish community don't only feel uncertain, they feel unsafe. And that's something the Prime Minister should explain to the Australian public about. Why have we allowed, since October 7 of last year, months and months of violent protests to take place, the vilification of people of Jewish faith, the defacing of cars, and now the bombing of a synagogue? It's unacceptable, totally unacceptable in our country, and the Prime Minister needs to stand up for our values, and he needs to do that not just here at home, but also in the United Nations and elsewhere around the world.